I would say that there are many people who are really afraid of self-expression, of asking for help, of raising their own voices to tell what they want, feel, or think, and who certainly think creativity and writing are tools for few. When in reality, I think the use of words is a discipline that could be learned and have been invented to use it in our benefit.
Yes.
With your experience, as you have said before, in a world full of predators, what would be your advice to worry and fear less and live comfortable in our own skin?
Good, good. Okay, so you raised a really good point about words help you explore your verbal brain. And you could think that your verbal brain is billions of extra neurons that free you from just using the same pathways again and again. So most of us have these old circuits, it's often called autopilot, and we think the same thoughts over and over. And we don't think that we have billions of other neurons to make new pathways, because our old pathways are well developed. And I explain in all of my books the physical process of why we use the old pathways, because they're physically developed and we're meant to use them. But we can build new pathways, and thinking, what's the word? How can I say this? When you're writing, you're trying to explain it to someone else often, and so you challenge yourself. You see it from another person's perspective, and that helps you see it more broadly rather than just going into the same loop all the time, and where you're just talking to yourself most of the time. So even if you're talking to the paper and going back and reading the paper the next day, it helps you deviate a little from your old neural pathways and branch off and explore I call it the back roads of your brain, and then you'll start to develop those.
It's where you can find insights or things that you didn't understand with your animal brain.
Yes, exactly.
So I call that, or I like to think about that like a marriage, that you have to connect both of them in a certain way, right?
Yes, yes. And the complication is that many people think of writing as going into their emotions. And you're saying, well, if you equate the emotions with the animal brain, then they say that you have to get out of your, they say get out of your head and get into your heart. So that's the opposite from what we just said. And so the important thing is that your two brains are always working together. So it's not one is all this and one is all that, but that they're both working together with your old pathways, and you can work together to explore new pathways. I guess a simple one would be if you have a horse and rider, and every day they're going around a track, and now you're freeing them from the track to explore a forest. So they might get lost, something might go wrong, and also it's harder for them to work together because they're in a new environment, but then they can discover like a beautiful forest where they didn't before.
Loretta, thank you so much for this. This has been a pleasure for me having you here and talking about these all interesting questions that I have, and that everybody can learn about this in these books. So thank you a lot. And
great. Well, thank you so much for doing this. I know we wrote to each other a lot, and your questions were so big, and I kept thinking, I can't sit here and write a whole book here. So I'm so glad we could do it in person and in words.
And finally meet you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.